It was a quiet night in the small city. Streetlights flickered weakly, and the wind moved slowly through the empty streets. Jason walked home after a long day at work. He usually enjoyed the peace at night, but tonight, something felt different. The air was colder than usual, and he had the strange feeling that he was being watched. As he turned a corner near an old alley, he saw a small figure crouched behind a trash bin. At first, he thought it was a homeless person, but when he got closer, he froze. The girl he saw was unlike anyone he had ever seen. Her skin had a faint shimmer, like tiny stars twinkling under the streetlight. Her eyes were glowing softly, pale blue like the ice of a distant planet. She looked thin and weak, her clothes torn and dirty. She shivered in the cold, hugging herself. Jason's heart tightened. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked, his voice soft. The girl flinched at first but did not run. She shook her head slowly. Jason felt a strange pull toward her. Something about her was familiar, though he didn't know why. She looked scared, but there was also a quiet strength in her eyes. Jason knew he couldn't just leave her there. "Come on," he said gently. "You can stay at my place for a while. You'll be safe." She hesitated. Jason noticed a small wound on her arm, bleeding slightly. "Please," he added, "I can help you." Slowly she nodded, and together they walked out of the alley. The walk to his apartment felt longer than usual. Jason kept glancing at her. Every step seemed to make her glow a little brighter, almost as if the night itself responded to her presence. He tried to speak, to ask her questions, but the words stuck in his throat. How do you talk to someone who is not from here? When they reached his apartment, Jason offered her a seat and some water. She drank quickly, her hands shaking. He handed her some bread and she ate it slowly, carefully, like she hadn't eaten in days. Jason watched her, curious. Her features were strange but beautiful. High cheekbones, slightly pointed ears, and skin that seemed to shift color slightly in the dim light. "Where are you from?" he asked finally, keeping his voice low so he wouldn't scare her. She stared at him, her glowing eyes wide with fear and confusion. She opened her mouth but only whispered one word: "Far." Jason nodded, not wanting to push her too much. He could tell she had been through something terrible. He wanted to help, but he also felt a small twinge of fear. Who or what was she running from? Suddenly she flinched and looked toward the window. Jason turned to see nothing, just the empty street below. But she seemed tense, as if invisible eyes were watching her. "They are coming," she whispered, her voice trembling. "They will find me." Jason felt a chill run down his spine. "Who?" he asked cautiously. She shook her head, too afraid to answer. He could see the fear in her every movement. Something told him that if he didn't act fast, she might not survive the night. He decided to let her rest. "You can sleep here," he said softly. "I'll keep watch." She nodded again, trusting him in a way that made Jason uneasy and curious at the same time. He had never met anyone like her. As she slept on the couch, Jason looked around his small apartment. It felt normal, safe, and quiet. But somehow, the presence of this mysterious girl changed everything. Her faint glow lit the room softly, and he couldn't help but stare. Who was she? Where had she come from? And why had she ended up here, alone and scared? Hours passed. The night outside grew darker, and the city's sounds faded into silence. Jason couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about her words. They are coming. Who were they? And why would anyone chase a young girl across the universe? Suddenly, a small beep came from her pocket. Jason jumped, startled. He looked at her, but she didn't wake up. Carefully, he reached into her pocket and pulled out a tiny device. It was glowing, pulsing with a light that matched her eyes. He had no idea what it was, but instinct told him it was important. She stirred, waking slowly. Her eyes met his, wide and fearful. She whispered, "Don't touch it. It is my only link to home." Jason froze. Home? She had a home somewhere far away, somewhere beyond Earth. And now, somehow, she had come to him. He didn't understand why, but he knew one thing. His life was about to change forever. As he sat there staring at the small glowing device and the mysterious girl sleeping on his couch, Jason realized he had made a choice that could bring danger or wonder into his ordinary life, and he had no idea what was waiting for him in the days ahead. For now, all he could do was wait and hope he had made the right decision. The night felt heavier now, as if the city itself was holding its breath. Jason sat on the edge of the couch, staring at the small, glowing device he had taken from the girl's pocket. She was still asleep, her breathing soft and uneven. Every so often, a faint shimmer ran across her skin, like sunlight dancing on water. Jason couldn't explain it, but he felt both awe and fear at the same time. He remembered her words. It is my only link to home. Home. What did that mean? She was clearly not from Earth, yet she had ended up on his doorstep. Questions crowded his mind. Who was she? Where was she from? And who was coming for her? The girl stirred, blinking her glowing eyes slowly. I am fine, she whispered, though her voice was faint and shaky. Jason nodded. You've been through a lot. You need food and rest, he said gently. She looked around his apartment as if noticing it for the first time. Her eyes widened at the mundane objects, books, a kettle, a small lamp, but when they landed on Jason, they softened. She gave a tiny nod of thanks. Jason decided to ask carefully, You saw, Aid, they are coming for you. Who are they? She paused, trembling slightly, her fingers brushing the small device again. Not here. They cannot know, she whispered. Her accent, strange and melodic, made each word feel delicate and urgent. Jason felt a chill. If they come, I can help you. I won't let anyone hurt you, he said firmly. The girl's eyes searched his, and for a moment, he thought she might smile. But then she shook her head, as if fighting some internal battle. She finally spoke. I am from a world far from here, very far. My people, they do not trust outsiders. I ran to escape, to survive. Her voice was soft, but her words struck Jason like a shockwave. She was not just an alien. She was alone on a planet that was not her own. Jason tried to understand. You're not from Earth? The girl shook her head slowly. No, Earth is small, quiet. I needed hiding. She paused, looking toward the window as if listening to the wind. They follow. They will take me back. Jason swallowed hard. Why would they want to take you back? She hesitated. My kind rules. Those who leave must return. Or her voice trailed off and Jason saw the fear in her glowing eyes. Whatever happened if she returned, it was worse than he could imagine. The girl looked down at the device in Jason's hand. That connects me to my world. It tells them where I am. If it is active, they will come. She reached for it, but Jason held it carefully. I don't know what it is, but I won't let it hurt you, he said gently. She studied him for a long moment, her glowing eyes reflecting a mix of fear and curiosity. You trust humans? She asked. Jason smiled faintly. I trust you, and I hope you can trust me too. She nodded slowly, as if deciding something important. Then she whispered, almost to herself, You are different, not like the others. Jason tilted his whole others, she hesitated. Earth, humans, they do not usually help. You are kind. For a moment, the room felt alive with tension and secrets. Jason wanted to ask more questions, but he also wanted to respect her silence. He offered her some water, and she drank, her hands shaking. Then carefully, she took the small device back from him. Her fingers glowed faintly as she held it, and Jason noticed the strange symbols blinking softly on its surface. What is that? Jason asked, pointing. She looked at him, her eyes serious. It is my lifeline. It shows where I am and where I must go to survive. She paused, then added almost reluctantly, It can also protect me. Jason's curiosity surged, but he kept his tone calm. Protect you? How? The girl hesitated, then whispered, It can hide me from them, but only for a short time. Soon, they will sense me. Jason felt a knot tighten in his chest. Then we need to find a way to keep you safe. For longer. She looked at him, her expression unreadable. For the first time, she seemed unsure if she could trust him fully. The silence stretched, broken only by the faint hum of the device. Jason realized something important. She was not just a stranger or a lost girl. She was someone with knowledge, power, and danger wrapped around her. And he was now part of it, whether he wanted to be or not. Suddenly, she moved closer and whispered, Do not let them find me. If they find me, I will disappear. Jason nodded firmly. I won't. I promise. For the first time, the girl seemed to relax, leaning slightly against the couch. Jason could see her eyes slowly dimming as she rested. But deep inside, he knew the night was far from over. Someone, or something, was searching for her, and soon they might arrive. Jason sat back, watching her carefully. The glow of the device reflected in his eyes, and he felt a strange connection forming. She was not from this world, yet somehow she had chosen to trust him. And in that trust, Jason realized the adventure and danger was only just beginning. The night outside grew silent again, but Jason could feel the tension in the air. He knew this mysterious girl held secrets that could change everything he believed about the universe, and he was determined to uncover them, no matter what it cost. The morning sunlight was weak as it spilled through Jason's small apartment window. The city outside was slowly waking, but inside, the room was quiet except for the soft hum of the glowing device. The alien girl, still unnamed, sat on the couch, watching Jason carefully. Her glowing eyes flickered as if she were trying to read his thoughts. Jason cleared his throat, feeling the weight of the moment. "I want to help you," he said, "but I don't even know your name, or how to talk to you." The girl tilted her head, her strange melodic voice barely above a whisper. "Name, hard, for you. You, call me Lyra," she said slowly, emphasizing each syllable. "Lyra," Jason repeated, testing the sound. It rolled off his tongue awkwardly but felt right. Lyra nodded slightly, as if approving his attempt. There was a pause, heavy with unspoken words. Jason could see the fear behind her glowing eyes, but also curiosity. He decided to try a simple approach. He drew shapes and letters on a piece of paper, pointing to objects in his apartment. "This is a cup," he said, holding up a mug. Lyra repeated the word after him, her voice soft but clear. "Cup." She smiled faintly, the first sign of trust he had seen. Encouraged, Jason moved on. "Water," he said, pointing to the glass in her hands. "Water." Lyra repeated it carefully. Each word felt like a victory, small but significant. Communication was slow, but Jason could see that she wanted to connect. Suddenly Lyra stiffened. She held the glowing device close to her chest, her eyes darting toward the window. Jason followed her gaze. Nothing seemed out of place, but he could feel the tension in her body. "What is it?" he asked. She shook her head, whispering, "They, near, soon." Jason's heart skipped a beat. "Who are they? Where are they?" She hesitated, then pointed to the device. Its soft pulses seemed to answer his question. "They track this," she said. Her voice trembled. "If they find me." She didn't finish the sentence, but Jason understood enough. Danger was coming. Determined to keep her safe, Jason tried to understand more about the device. It was small, about the size of his palm, and covered in strange symbols that pulsed with a soft blue light. He carefully held it, and as he did, Lyra's glow intensified, almost like the device was alive. "Can it talk?" Jason asked. Lyra shook her head. "No, only signals. They see it, follow it." She pointed at the window again, voice almost breaking. Hide me." Jason thought quickly. He grabbed a thick blanket and draped it over the device. Lyra's glowing eyes dimmed slightly, and she relaxed, though only a little. "Better," she whispered. Her trust in him was growing, but the fear in her eyes reminded him that this was temporary. Trying to lighten the mood, Jason offered a small joke. "You know, I never thought I'd have an alien living with me." Lyra blinked, her glowing eyes flickering like candlelight. For the first time, she let out a tiny laugh, a strange melodic sound that made Jason smile. Even as they shared a small moment of peace, Jason realized the challenge ahead. Lyra was intelligent and cautious, but their communication was limited. She could understand some English words, but many concepts from her world were beyond him. He had to find a new way to connect with her, through gestures, drawings, and small devices. He took out a notebook and started drawing pictures, a star, a tree, a house. Each drawing was simple, but Jason pointed at it, saying the word slowly. "Star," he said. "Tree, house." Lyra's fingers hovered over the drawings, tracing them gently. She repeated some words, but others she could not pronounce. Yet, with each attempt, Jason could see her trying, learning, and trusting him more. Hours passed. The small apartment became a strange classroom where language, trust, and survival collided. Jason realized that the process was more than learning words. It was about understanding each other's fears and hopes without needing full sentences. Then, the unexpected happened. The device blinked faster than before, sending out a series of pulses. Lyra's eyes widened in alarm. She grabbed Jason's hand. Now, hide," she whispered urgently. Jason followed her instructions, moving the device under the couch and covering it with blankets. Lyra's glow dimmed, almost as if the hiding had made her invisible. The tension in the room was thick. Every creak of the floorboards, every distant sound from the city made Jason's heart race. After what felt like hours, Lyra finally relaxed. She leaned against him slightly, her fingers brushing his arm. "Trust you," she said simply. Jason nodded, feeling a mix of relief and awe. For all her alien strangeness, she had chosen to trust him, and that trust was fragile, but powerful. As the sun climbed higher, Jason realized one thing. Learning to communicate with Lyra was more than just words. It was understanding her fears, respecting her silence, and finding ways to protect her from a world she did not belong to. And in doing so, he was stepping into a life filled with mystery, danger, and wonder, one he could never have imagined. The afternoon sun struggled to break through the gray clouds outside, casting long shadows across Jason's small apartment. Inside, silence hung heavy, broken only by the soft hum of Lyra's device. She sat on the couch, her glowing eyes flickering nervously, as if the light itself could sense the danger outside. Jason paced the room, thinking of a plan. "We can't just wait here," he said. "They're looking for you. We need to be ready." Lyra's eyes darted toward the window, then back to him. "They close," she whispered. "Soon, see me." Her voice trembled with fear, and Jason's chest tightened. He looked around the apartment. It was small and ordinary, but it had corners and closets where someone could hide or watch. He quickly moved the furniture closer to block the windows, creating shadows and dark corners. Lyra followed him silently, her eyes scanning every movement, every sound. "Jason?" she said finally, her voice soft but urgent. "They have eyes everywhere, not just outside, inside too." Jason froze. His mind raced. How could they see her? He glanced around, checking every corner, but the apartment seemed normal, ordinary in every way. Yet the fear in her glowing eyes told him otherwise. Suddenly, a faint hum filled the air, almost like the sound of electricity, but more alive, more deliberate. The device in Lyra's pocket pulsed rapidly, sending tiny waves of light across the room. Jason felt a chill. "They're coming closer," he said. "We need to hide it." He grabbed the device and slipped it under a pile of blankets, careful not to touch the glowing symbols too much. Lyra's glow dimmed slightly, as if the device's light had been a beacon for the danger outside. She nodded, trusting him, but the tension in her body was clear. Jason moved to the window and peeked through the blinds. The street below looked empty, but something about the shadows made him uneasy. He could feel the presence of eyes watching them, moving silently, waiting. He had no idea what these beings looked like or how fast they could move, but the thought of them finding Lyra sent a shiver down his spine. "They... coming," Lyra whispered again. She crawled closer to Jason, her small hands clutching his arm. Her glow flickered as fear and anticipation collided. Jason nodded. "I know, but I won't let them take you." Time slowed. Every sound in the apartment, creaking floorboards, the faint hum of the device, even the beating of his own heart, felt amplified. Jason realized that Ra's presence here was a magnet for danger. He had unwittingly brought the storm to his doorstep, and now he had to protect her with every ounce of courage he had. Suddenly, a sharp shadow moved across the wall. Jason's breath caught in his throat. He turned slowly to see a tall figure outside the window, motionless, staring in. Its features were impossible to make out in the dim light, but its presence was undeniable, cold, calculated, and predatory. Lyra gasped, her glow flaring brightly for a moment before dimming again. "They see me," she whispered, panic rising. Must hide now." Jason grabbed a thick blanket and helped her crouch under the couch, hiding the device as best as he could. Her small body trembled as he held her close. The shadow outside remained, patient and unmoving, as if waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Jason's mind raced. He had to think fast. The apartment was small, the exits limited, and they were vulnerable. Yet he couldn't panic. Lyra's life depended on him. He scanned the room, looking for anything that could give them an advantage. Then he remembered the small balcony door, hidden behind a curtain. If they could move quietly, maybe they could escape without being seen. He whispered to Lyra, "We're going to move. Slowly. Stay close. Don't make a sound." She nodded, her glowing eyes wide but trusting. Jason counted silently, 1, 2, 3, and they slipped from under the couch, moving with careful precision toward the balcony. As they reached the door, the shadow at the window moved. Jason froze, his heart pounded. The figure had detected them or sensed the device. Lyra clutched his arm tightly. "Now," he whispered, and they pushed the door open silently. The cold air hit them, sharp and alive. They stepped onto the narrow balcony, the city below stretching into darkness. Jason could see more shadows moving, figures, silent and deliberate, scanning for any sign of them. He knew they had little time. He helped Lyra climb down a small fire escape, her small hands gripping his firmly. Each step was careful, deliberate, as if one wrong move could alert their pursuers. They reached the ground safely, but Jason could feel the presence of danger closing in. "They follow," Lyra whispered, her voice trembling. Her glow flared slightly, signaling both fear and warning. Jason nodded. "I know, but we'll stay ahead. You're safe with me, for now." As they disappeared into the shadows of the city streets, Jason realized something important. Protecting Lyra was no longer about keeping her in one place. It was about staying one step ahead of the unknown. Whatever was after her was patient, relentless, and far beyond anything he had faced before. But despite the fear, Jason felt a spark of determination. He had chosen to help her. He had chosen to trust her. And now, no matter the danger, he would do everything he could to keep her alive. The city seemed quiet again, but Jason knew better. Somewhere out there, unseen eyes were tracking them, and the real danger was only just beginning. The city was quieter now, but the air still felt tense. Jason and Lyra moved through the shadowed streets carefully, avoiding the bright lights and busy areas. Lyra's small hands clutched his arm, her glow flickering softly, a heartbeat of her fear and trust. Every sound, the distant bark of a dog, the rumble of a passing car, made her tense, yet she stayed close to him. They found refuge in an abandoned warehouse near the edge of the city. Inside, the space was dusty and dark, but it was safe. For now. Jason set the glowing device on a crate and covered it with a cloth. Lyra watched him, eyes flickering nervously. He could tell she was always aware of danger, even when it seemed far away. Jason finally sat down, letting out a long breath. "We're safe here for a while," he said softly. Lyra remained standing, her glowing eyes moving around the room, alert and cautious. When race home, Liz, something important. She was not just scared, she was used to danger. Her world, whatever it was, had taught her vigilance. After a few moments of silence, Jason decided to break the tension. "I want to know more about you," he said. "Not the scary parts, just you, who you are." Lyra hesitated, her fingers brushing the cloth over the device. Then she took a slow step closer. I am called Lyra," she whispered, her voice soft. "From far, far away, my world, it rules, very strict. I ran to live." Jason nodded, trying to understand. "You're brave," he said. "I don't know if I could survive what you went through." Lyra looked at him then, really looked at him, her glowing eyes reflecting a mix of fear and curiosity. "You care," she said simply. "Humans not usually care." Jason felt a warmth in his chest. For all the danger, for all the unknowns, he could see that trust was forming between them. She had been alone, afraid, hunted, but now, somehow, she allowed herself to lean on him. He decided to continue carefully, drawing pictures in a notebook to explain the world she had never known. He drew a park with trees and children playing. Lyra's eyes widened, and she smiled faintly. "Earth, small, peaceful," she whispered, "different from home." Jason nodded. "Yes, it's different. But maybe you can belong here, at least for now." Lyra's glow flickered brightly, almost like a heartbeat. She nodded slowly. "Maybe, yes," she said. Then Jason did something he hadn't expected. He shared small details about his life, his work, his home, even the books he liked to read. Lyra listened intently, her head tilting as if each word was a puzzle she wanted to understand. For the first time, Jason felt that their connection was mutual. They were learning from each other, not just surviving together. As the hours passed, Jason decided to test something. He pointed to the small device on the crate. "This is part of your world," he said. "It's dangerous, but maybe it can help us understand each other." Lyra's eyes narrowed slightly. Then, she nodded. Carefully, she took his hand and guided him through the device's symbols. It pulsed softly under their fingers, almost alive. Jason realized that Lyra was teaching him her language, her way of thinking. "It shows everything," Lyra whispered. "Paths, danger, life, Home. Her voice faltered as she spoke, but Jason understood. The device was more than a tracker. It was a map, a guide, a connection to a world he couldn't even imagine, and somehow, by learning from her, he felt closer to her world. Jason reached out, brushing a strand of glowing hair from her face. "I'll help you," he said firmly. "I promise. No one will hurt you as long as I'm here." Lyra's glow brightened for a moment, her fear mingling with something else, hope. She leaned slightly toward him, a gesture so small but so meaningful. "Trust you," she whispered. The warehouse grew colder as night approached, but Jason felt a strange warmth. He had saved her once, but now she was teaching him something even more valuable. Trust and friendship could exist even across worlds. Even in fear, even in danger, connections could form that nothing could break easily. Suddenly, a faint noise echoed from the far side of the warehouse. Metal scraping against metal, both of them froze. Lyra's glow flared sharply, her body tense. "Here," she whispered, panic rising. Jason grabbed a nearby pipe for protection, feeling his own pulse quicken. But then, the sound stopped. Silence returned, heavy and uncertain. Jason looked at Lyra. "Whatever comes, we face it together," he said. She nodded, glowing faintly in agreement. In that moment, it wasn't just about hiding or surviving. It was about trust, friendship, and the bond forming between a human and an alien in a world that wanted to tear them apart. Jason knew the danger was not gone. It was still out there, watching, waiting. But for the first time, he also knew that together, he and Lyra could face it. They were no longer just human and alien. They were partners, allies, friends. And that trust, fragile as it was, might be the strongest weapon they had. As the night deepened, Jason and Lyra sat close together, sharing warmth, quiet words, and the growing understanding that they were not alone anymore. Somewhere in the shadows, the world waited. But inside that dark, abandoned warehouse, trust and friendship shone brighter than any danger outside. The night was thick with shadows, and the city outside the warehouse seemed strangely quiet. Jason and Lyra sat close together, the glow from her skin casting soft light across the dusty floor. The danger outside had not disappeared. They could feel it lingering, patient and calculating. But inside, a fragile sense of calm had settled between them. Jason had noticed that Lyra seemed quieter than usual. Her glowing eyes flickered in the dim light, but there was something unspoken in her expression, a secret she hadn't shared. He decided it was time to ask. "Lyra, there's something you're not telling me, isn't there?" he asked gently. She hesitated, her small hands clutching the glowing device. For a moment, silence hung between them, heavy with unspoken truths. Then she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "My mission," she said, her eyes downcast. "I was sent to Earth." Jason's heart skipped a beat. "Sent? By who?" he asked, leaning closer. She met his gaze then, her glowing eyes steady but filled with fear. "My people, my leaders, they sent me to study, observe, learn," she admitted. "I was not supposed to stay, not supposed to connect." Jason swallowed hard. "But you're here, with me." Lyra nodded slowly, her small shoulders trembling. "I ran. I could not follow orders. If I stayed, I would lose myself. I could not go back. Not yet." The weight of her words settled over Jason like a storm. She had risked everything to be here, not just running from danger, but from her own people. And somehow she had chosen to trust him in the process. "I don't understand," Jason said softly. "Why would your people send someone like you here? You're different." Lyra's glow flared slightly, as if emphasizing her emotions. "Because I see things they cannot understand. I care about life, not just rules. I felt Earth could teach more than orders." Jason reached out, placing his hand gently on hers. "I'm glad you're here," he said. "Whatever your mission, whatever danger comes, you're not alone anymore." Lyra's eyes softened, and for the first time, Jason saw relief in them. But there was still fear. "They will come for me," she whispered. "If they find out, I defied them. They will take me back. Or worse, I could be erased, like I never existed." Jason felt a chill run down his spine. "Erased? What do you mean?" She shook her head, trying to hold back tears. have power to remove those who disobey, not just physically, but memories, life, all gone. I cannot go back. Her small hands clutched the glowing device tighter, as if it were the only thing keeping her existence intact. Jason's mind raced. He realized that the danger was far greater than he had imagined. These were not ordinary pursuers. They were beings capable of erasing someone entirely. And yet, Lyra was here, alive, trusting him and depending on him to protect her. "We'll find a way," Jason said firmly. "We'll stay ahead. You won't face them alone, I promise." Lyra's glow flared brightly, a flicker of hope shining through her fear. She leaned slightly toward him, her small hand brushing his arm. "I trust you," she whispered. For the next few hours, they spoke quietly, sharing what little they could. Lyra revealed that her world was vast and governed by strict rules. Her people valued obedience above all else, and those who defied the rules disappeared without a trace. But she had always questioned the system, always wondered if there was more to life than control and fear. Earth, with its chaotic, unpredictable, and free life, had called to her. Jason listened, fascinated and troubled. He realized that Lyra's rebellion was not just about survival, it was about choosing a life of meaning over blind obedience. And somehow, in the shadows of an abandoned warehouse, he had become part of that choice. Then, unexpectedly, Lyra reached into her pocket and held out the device. "This shows paths, danger, and hope," she said. Jason took it, feeling the soft pulses of light. He realized that it was not just a tool, it was a map of possibilities. With it, they could plan, evade, and survive, and maybe, just maybe, find a way to protect Lyra from the powerful forces that hunted her. Jason looked at her, determination settling in his chest. "We'll figure this out together," he said. "No matter what comes, you won't face it alone." Lyra's glow brightened, and she smiled faintly, the first real smile he had seen from her since she arrived. But even as they shared this moment of fragile hope, the distant hum of the device reminded them that danger was never far away. Her people were patient, relentless, and now aware that she was not following orders. Every second counted. Jason realized that the revelation had changed everything. Lyra was not just an alien he had helped. She was a being with a mission, with knowledge, with danger surrounding her. And now, he was part of that mission, part of her world, part of her fight, and part of her trust. The night stretched on, the shadows outside creeping closer. But inside the warehouse, amidst the uncertainty and fear, a bond had formed, one built on trust, shared secrets, and the unspoken understanding that they could face whatever came together. Jason looked at Lyra and whispered, "No matter what they send, we'll be ready." She nodded, her glow steady now, her small hand brushing his. In that moment, they were no longer just human and alien. They were partners, allies, and friends, facing a universe that would not forgive mistakes. The night was far from over, but for the first time, Jason felt a spark of hope that maybe together they could survive what was coming next. The first light of dawn crept into the warehouse, painting the dusty walls in pale gold. Jason and Lyra sat quietly, exhausted but alert. The danger that had haunted them through the night felt closer now, yet something in the air had shifted. For the first time, Jason sensed a faint calmness within the chaos. Lyra's glowing eyes flickered as she studied the small device in her hands. It pulsed softly, like a heartbeat, and Jason could see the conflict in her expression. "They will come soon," she whispered. "I must decide. Stay or leave." Jason reached out, placing his hand gently over hers. "You don't have to go back," he said. "Not if you don't want to. You're safe here with me, and we'll find a way to protect you." Lyra looked at him, her glow brightening slightly, then dimming as doubt crept in. I could stay," she whispered, her voice trembling. "But my people, they will not forgive. If they find me, I could lose everything." She paused, her small fingers clutching the device tightly. "Even life." Jason felt a chill run down his spine, but he refused to show fear. "Then we fight smart," he said firmly. "We use the device, we plan, and we stay ahead of them. I'll stand by you. Whatever comes, we face it together." Lyra's glow flared, then softened, as if she understood the depth of his promise. Hours passed in quiet preparation. Jason moved furniture, checked exits, and mapped out escape routes, while Lyra studied the device, showing him how to read its subtle pulses and hidden signals. Every now and then, her glowing eyes met his, conveying more than words ever could: trust, gratitude, and something else, something deeper. Finally, as the sun climbed higher, a soft hum echoed through the air. Jason's heart raced, the device pulsed faster, Lyra's body stiffened. Here, she whispered. Soon. See me. Jason nodded. Then we act, he said. Together they moved through a hidden side door, using the shadows of the city streets to avoid detection. Jason kept one hand on Lyra's small shoulder, steadying her as they ran. Her glow flickered in response, brightening when she was scared, dimming when she focused on him. They reached a quiet rooftop overlooking the city. Below, the streets were filled with shadows, tall, faceless forms that moved silently, scanning for any sign of Lyra. Jason held his breath. Stay low, he whispered. We can't let them see you. Lyra nodded, her glowing eyes locked on him. I trust you, she said simply. The words sent a jolt through Jason's chest. It wasn't just trust in survival. It was trust in him as a person, as her ally, maybe even something more. Then, without warning, one of the shadows looked up. Its glowing eyes scanned the rooftops. Jason froze, pulling Lyra down behind a small ledge. The shadow lingered, sensing something, before slowly moving away. Jason exhaled silently. That was close, he whispered. Lyra's glow dimmed slightly, and she leaned against him, trembling. Jason wrapped his arm around her. We're not done yet, he said softly. But we'll make it, I promise. Her small hand brushed his arm, a gesture of both gratitude and comfort. Hours later, as the sun began to set, the device pulsed differently. It wasn't warning now, it was guiding. Lyra pointed to a distant point on the horizon, her glow steady and determined. Home, or future, she whispered. Jason nodded, understanding. Then let's go, he said. Together they moved toward the unknown, guided by the soft pulses of the device. The city stretched behind them, shadows and danger still lingering, but the bond between them was stronger than fear. Finally, as night fell fully, they reached a quiet hill on the edge of the city. Lyra stopped and looked at Jason, her glowing eyes reflecting the stars above. I choose here, she whispered, with you. Jason's heart raced. Here? You're sure? She nodded. Yes. Safe. Life. Future. Together. Her small hand reached for his, their fingers intertwining. In that moment, the danger of the night, the threat of her people, and the uncertainty of the world faded into the background. Jason smiled, feeling an emotion he hadn't expected, relief, joy, and awe all at once. Then we start from here, he said. No past, no fear, just us. Lyra's glow brightened fully, radiating warmth. Us, she echoed. The night sky seemed to respond, stars twinkling as if acknowledging their choice. They stood together, hand in hand, two beings from different worlds bound by trust, courage, and hope. For the first time since Lyra arrived, Jason allowed himself to imagine a future. A life not dictated by fear or danger, but by choice, by companionship, by love. He realized that this small, glowing alien girl who had appeared at his doorstep starving and afraid had become something far greater than a responsibility. She had become his partner, his friend, and perhaps, one day, more than that. The city below was still filled with shadows, and the night held unknown dangers. But on that hill, under the vast sky, Jason and Lyra felt something rare and powerful, a future they could face together, no matter what came next. And for the first time, Jason smiled without fear. The mysterious alien girl, who had once been a stranger, was now his future, unexpected, extraordinary, and unbreakably theirs.